It's no doubt, of course, that the appointment of the new Executive Council was a big story this week. Now we continue to touch on issues relating, of course, to the newly appointed cabinet. Half the new ministers are women, making South Africa one of the world's few gender-balanced governments. But to talk to us about issues around gender parity in the new cabinet, we have in our Pretoria studio the Acting Chairperson of the Commission for Gender Equality, Tamara Mathebula. Good afternoon to you, ma'am. Thank you so much for coming through. Firstly, your reaction really to the newly appointed cabinet.
Good afternoon to you, Palisa, and good afternoon to your viewers out there. I just want to say that first and foremost, as the Commission for Gender Equality, we want to commend the President Cyril Ramaphosa for taking into consideration issues of gender equality and gender parity in appointing his executives. These are women and men that will actually be serving the people in the country, but also leading in various portfolios, leading the government administrative work as well as programs. And I think from where we stand, we are saying that this wise move by the president comes at a time when we are saying that this has never happened since the dawn of democracy in 1994. And against the backdrop that when we checked in 2014, women representation was only sitting at 14%. So we really commend the president when we are saying with the leader or the number one in the state as well as the political will, this is possible to apply the zebra approach and to apply the 50-50% or the 50% gender parity. So we really commend the president here, and we are looking forward in terms of working with these women and men in terms of making sure that we realize gender equality in South Africa.
But then, is it safe to say that now there is a light at the end of the tunnel in terms of addressing the concerns really around gender imbalances? I mean, if one takes a look at your provincial executive councils as well across the country, it's not just a 50% women representation on a national level, but women really came out in their numbers as well provincially.
Yes, I must say that we are quite happy even at provincial level that with the appointment of provincial legislatives, there were quite a number of women, and not only women but also young women that were featured in those provincial executive structures. And we're quite happy, and we are saying yes, there is light at the end of the tunnel. As the Commission and other Chapter 9 institutions, we are looking forward in inducting these structures at various levels and making sure that they know our mandates. They not only know our mandates, but they are able to articulate and ensure that policies and programs are actually gender sensitive, and there's a lot of gender mainstreaming in the work that they do on a daily basis.
So seeing that there is light at the end of the tunnel now, Mathebula, does it also give some sense of hope that, as I said, the concerns that have been raised over the years regarding gender imbalances, gender parity and so on would finally be addressed, not just in your public sector, but looking into the private sector as well?
Yes, definitely. We have conducted quite a number of research work, and we have a lot of research reports as the Commission, which are looking at both public as well as private sector. And we will definitely use these reports in inducting these new executives at various levels in terms of saying that these are the issues that came out of the research, and these are the issues that we are continuously monitoring as the Gender Commission. Key amongst is gender equality, inequalities, gender-based violence, femicides. There's a lot of killing of women, old and young, including children. There is a lot of sexual harassment in the workplace as well as bullying that we see in private sector as well as institutions and institutions of higher learning. So these are some of the issues that we will flag, and these are some of the issues that we would work with the executives in terms of making sure that there is evidence-based planning as well as programming and and budgeting as well.
Yeah. Now, talking about femicide, I know that you had some hearings with the South African Police Service yesterday, really. This was as a result of their unresponsiveness in terms of what the Commission had acquired from them. Talk to us about what really happened there.
Thank you, Palisa. Interestingly, yesterday we had, we as the Commission for Gender Equality, we requested that the South African Police Service heads or generals should actually appear before the Commission, because we realized that there is quite a dragging process that happens when it comes to dealing with issues of gender-based violence, domestic violence, as well as sexual harassment in the workplace. So we had quite a lot of delegation that came from the South African Police, led by the General Ketla Stole, and provincial commissioners. And we raised these issues. Key amongst the issues that we raised was that there were delays in terms of getting DNA results. And this was quite worrying, because you will find that a lot of cases were thrown out of court because the evidence was not there, the DNA was not there. We agreed that this process will be fast-tracked and DNA results will be made available within a period of 21 days. And we also looked at sexual harassment and how these are handled within the police service. And again, I think we looked at quite a number of issues as to who sits or who constitutes the disciplinary council that looks at disciplinary processes within the police service. We also looked at the training and the training manuals that they use in terms of making sure that police are sensitized on how to handle sexual harassment issues, but also handling domestic violence issues and gender-based violence related complaints that are brought to police stations.
All right.
We also looked at how women are handled in general and how issues of femicides should be fast-tracked both in rural as well as urban areas in different provinces.
All right, interesting indeed. Mathebula, we'll leave it at this. Thank you so much for coming through.